Hello out there, it's your Friday Fish Check with Stina and Rachel. We're here at Minter Creek, going live and seeing if there's any salmon to see today. So I'm gonna focus in on Rachel because she's a dream. So if you're tuning in, go ahead and let us know where you're tuning in from and we'll check it out.
Yeah, so this looks a lot different than it looked last week when we were here. We tried to look this way and see what we could see, but the tide was significantly higher than it is right now. So right now we're kind of in the lull between the high tides. We're at about I think a 7-foot tide. Here we can take a look. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh yeah, we can see that.
All right, so this is the Tide Track app, and here's today, October 30th. And if I go back a week,
I like our Halloween nails, by the way.
they are very coordinated. Last week at this time we were at a 13-foot high, so it was really, really high. This entire floodplain was filled, and then you see our tides kind of changing, and here we are today, day before Halloween. So our tide is coming in, which does make the fish makes it easier for them, but a lot of them kind of wait until we get more of a freshwater flush so they can find where the creek is, because the saltwater kind of blocks the freshwater escaping for a little bit and then empties finally as the tide
I'm
changes.
definitely impressed because last week was my first creek check-in, and this whole kind of like marshy area, you could not get here. So it's cool that we can walk in this area, be a little closer to where we might see some salmon.
Yeah, this is kind of the main channel here. There is, on a high tide, the ability for water to cover and infiltrate this entire region.
Yeah,
wild. The salmon generally stick to the deeper section. And I noticed we've got a couple of predators hanging out here. We've got some Mallard Ducks, it looks like.
Zoom in on them.
2 males.
Oh, yeah.
3 males and 2 females. You can tell the difference from them even in their silhouette by looking for the little tail curl on the male. So right above, or kind of right behind their wings, there's this little.
I'm gonna get us a little closer because
let's walk.
I know what you're talking about, but we can't see that on the video.
Oh yeah, but it is to film and see that in real life. And Stina's also navigating through very, very.
Yeah,
muddy,
I'm gonna give you a quick peek. Ooh hoo hoo hoo.
very muddy substrate here.
Squishy.
So if you can. See
Oh,
the
look
color
at this
of-
erosion.
Oh yeah, look at that! Wow, that wasn't even that.
Maybe I don't want to stand this close. Anyways.
Water is a very powerful erosive force. So yeah, this whole bank has collapsed, and then we'll redeposit this silt farther down and create kind of more of these little curvatures in our stream a bit. Now I can tell that those are Mallard Ducks by looking at their heads. So the male mallards have a bright green head. It's really, really beautiful in the sunshine.
Yeah,
The
and
females are brown all over, but they do have kind of a little white and blue splash along their wings. The males have that too.
you can really see I've got a good silhouette of the
The little tail curl.
of the feathery frills on that mallard's bum.
Little curly tail. They're so cute.
And again, for those of you who are just tuning in, feel free to let us know where you're watching from. I see my mom just popped on. I'm guessing you're in Montana. It's so fun that we get to, bring Montanans out to Minter Creek here in Washington. Oh my gosh.
Very. Do you need help?
I'm stuck forever. I'm just gonna zoom out and keep walking. Yeah, I'm like, I will look at my feet and the camera somehow. Perfect. Or I'm just, yeah, that's nicer.
We're gonna go around.
I will say, it is a gorgeous October day today.
It's weird. I think it's
We're like,
hot in the city. It's really chilly.
fleece or no fleece. I'm gonna get a better look at these mallards.
3 boys just all lined up perfectly
Yeah.
for you.
And they've got those bright orange feet, which are another good mallard feature.
Yeah, they're the feet of ducks and seabirds have this really cool network of capillaries and veins called the reap mirabile, which
The what?
means
The what?
It means the wonderful net, or the miraculous net, and it's essentially a heat exchanger. So if you were to take the temperature of the blood in the tips of the duck's feet, it would be cold. Oops. And then the cold blood gets warmed up because the veins and the capillaries, the veins and arteries, flow right next to each other and work like a little heat exchanger. So the warm blood coming from the heart actually transfers its temperature to the blood that's returning from the feet. So
counter-current heat exchange.
Very, very clever.
Here's our little lady mallards. You can see.
And these ones look a little bit more juvenile. They still have dark beaks. So these might be this year's.
Yeah.
This year's.
I think
they probably hatched this year.
It's kind of funny. Like, mallards are so pretty when you just kind of stop to notice them. They kind of get that, like, they're pretty common. So you're like, oh, it's just another mallard. But you're like, you're really cool. Got a lot going on. I know.
They're really powerful webbed feet. They can really motor downstream if they want to. They're also really capable flyers. So they can fly pretty decent distances. And they do migrate a little bit, but we see mallards year-round here.
Yeah, and sometimes you'll see mallards with the white chest. And Rachel knows or actually I learned it from Rachel, that they're the more domesticated mallard duck.
Domesticated species of mallards called a rowan duck, and they've developed these kind of white chest patches. And what's kind of fascinating about that is animals in captivity, so captive, or I guess domesticated animals that humans have bred for a long time, often will express that white pattern. So think of your dog or a cat that's got white paws or a white chest, or cows that have white splotches. Those are animals that in the wild would not survive. They would be literally a sitting duck is the phrase, right? They would be obvious and very easy to spot. And so those traits are selected against in nature. But when we raise animals in captivity, right, we can protect them from predators, and we can ensure that they find food even if they're really like distracting looking. So those genes are allowed to be expressed and kind of passed on. So if you ever see a wild animal that has that white on it, it's probably not going to last for very long. It's a natural expression of genes, but nature selects against it.
Awesome. We have Ken from Southern California tuning in, and he can hear a northern flicker in the background. So I think, Ken, great example of using your senses to notice and make observations. I don't know if you can see.
I cannot tell what kind of birds they are, but they are just adorable.
Yeah, like I can't, I'm not sure where my camera's looking. The sky's blue. That's what we're looking at.
Hey, that is a welcome sight.
Yeah. Which really, I'm going to do a little pan around because the fall colors are really starting to pop and the leaves are dropping, which we see in the creek. So evergreens, check. But those nice sunny fall trees looking real sweet. Okay, there's a lot of green. Basically, it's those trees back there. They're really nice. All right, so for those of you tuning in, maybe if you hear some other birds in the background, you can identify them.
I do hear a predator bird.
Oh.
A kingfisher a moment ago, so maybe we'll see another.
Nice. I'm gonna pop back over by the creek to just hopefully catch some salmon, yeah. Although I guess maybe you were taking me a less treacherous route.
Lots of human footprints down here.
Yeah.
This is a creek that's very, very popular with people looking for dinner. So let's keep going. Let's head up and around. And I think we can. I don't want to ask you to cross.
Yeah, thank
we'll
you.
Go around and over.
Woo-hoo.
You can look out and see how all the grass is really kind of flat. That's a really good indication that that area gets flooded. Because the trees don't really occupy, they only really grow in the taller, the high spots kind of.
We of course have some Himalayan blackberries invading our spaces.
Should we head down or should we go?
I think let's head down.
Okay. Almost fell.
This is why we wear boots. Maybe I'll keep the camera on Rachel so if she does fall.
You'll have something to watch.
Yeah.
For my blooper reel, right?
Oh yes, the blooper reel. Oh yes. Some gulls.
You're better at identifying gulls than I am.
I'm looking at whether or not they're uniformly gray. I see the one that's closest to us is a juvenile.
A little baby.
They kind of have pinkish legs, so maybe glaucus,
Yeah.
because they're kind of uniform gray. Medium gull. Hard to tell.
Well, at this point, it's a creek gull because it's
A creek gull, yeah.
above the sea.
My favorite are the bay gulls, flying over the bay with cream cheese, preferably.
There you go. Seagulls
Taking off.
kind of get a bad rap, but they're really well evolved for where they live, and they can live just about anywhere. I love that they're able to swim like a duck, but they also spend a lot more time walking, and they're a little more predatory than ducks are. They're good hunters with nice eyesight, and they're pretty smart too.
Yeah, I just started reading a book about gulls, and because I just started it, I have nothing to tell you. But maybe next week I'll have some fun facts, because I think they're talking about how, like, at least the intro, it's like gulls are very versatile, right? They can live in very urban environments as well as natural environments, and they're found all over the place. So
If I were going to be a bird,
hold on, let me get closer to you so I can hear you.
if I were going to choose to be a bird, I think I would be a seagull.
Oh,
They're just so cool.
wee.
There you go, nice.
Ugh. Sorry, I hope you're not getting motion sickness. If I was gonna be a bird, how about, yeah, in the comments, let us know what type of bird you'd want to be. I've dressed up as a belted kingfisher before. That was pretty fun. I think a cormorant would be pretty fun, because they're a diving bird, and I think it'd be interesting to swim and fly as a feathered friend. Okay.
So here, this is the culvert that runs underneath Crevaston Drive. And, oh, no.
Oh. A fish.
I got really
Yeah.
excited. No,
We
it's
saw it.
somebody's lure.
The lure.
Let's walk up across the street.
Cool. I think I also just want to point, the leaves are throwing me off. I want the leaves to be fish, but they are not. Okay, we are going to pop up and around. Nicely done. Oh. The joys of live videos, you know. We're gonna look both ways. Okay. This is a very accessible little spot. You don't see anything? All right. We don't either. Or, well, we see lots of things, but just not salmon.
No fish just quite yet. Let's head down this little path.
Do the full comparison.
It's really good to look back and see, wow, the colors have really changed since last. Tide certainly has changed.
Yeah. Sorry about the road noise. And again, this is Minter Creek Hatchery.
So I would expect now that we're into almost November that we would start to see more carcasses.
Is that a carcass?
Like the backbone over there.
Alright, we'll do a little zoom in on that. Okay, friends, we get to see a fish.
Our first fish!
Woohoo! Looking good, buddy. Oh, wait.
Great. Let's keep going around. Let's go all the way up to the pool.
Okay.
If there are salmon here, they'll probably be. Sometimes you'll come by and see people working here taking care of the fish in the tank.
Definitely hear all the machinery hard at work. If you're wondering about the knotweed, Rachel did a nice job explaining that in last week's video. You're welcome to go check that out and do some comparing. Got some more fisher folks.
Yeah, here you can see the sort of the gate that runs across the stream, and that's what keeps the salmon confined here. And then the hatchery will select which individuals will be allowed to spawn, and they'll take those eggs and fertilize them and then keep them safe from predators and with consistent water temperature and flow to raise up kind of the next generation. And it's a very successful method of bringing out the next kind of group of salmon. This creek supports a number of different species. As we get later on into November, we'll start to see a lot more chum salmon, which are a very large species. Here's a fish right in here.
Looks like a chum to me.
You'll see a lot more activity a lot of it has to do with when we get big fall rains, and they'll really kind of surge through the creeks, and that is a signal for the chum fish to kind of head upstream. And this hatchery actually supplies a lot of food banks with their excess fish. So there are so many fish that return, they can't do anything. Some of them will die and fertilize naturally, but the rest will be utilized by food banks, which is really kind of neat.
Yeah. Oop. Zoom in on, see a little of those chum stripes on the fish that was caught here.
That one came down from the fish ladder.
The fish ladder? Okay. Gnarly. Graphic content warning.
Yeah, this is
A little
very rotten fish. Here, let me take that. So salmon develop this fungus on their skin. Sometimes it grows while they're still alive, but definitely after they're dead, this kind of fuzziness is going to consume the whole fish, which is really gross to us, but an important part of nature. And then here is another fish that's been caught here. So you can see the only real course of for the fish, they can't go up the natural stream, which is gated off, and so they'll head up this fish ladder here, which runs up underneath, and then the salmon are up into the hatchery. So I'm gonna give this back to you, and I think let's go pop around the corner. There's some nice kind of pools where fish like to sit and kind of wait.
Yeah, that's
dun, da, da, da. For those of you just joining us, we're kind of doing we started a weekly peek in the creek, looking for the return of the salmon. So fun to see some fish on this lovely last Friday of October.
And it is lovely. It's
It's like
beautiful right now.
so nice.
This is about as nice as an October day as you can have. We're starting to see a few carcasses piling up on the branches that are in the stream. That's always a good sign. That'll attract a lot of wildlife to this area. So one thing I like to do is come here on a nice sunny day and just sort of park and wait. And you can see things like river otters. We've seen martins or fishers, which is like a long little weasel. Raccoons. I once saw a mother raccoon with her babies. And it happened while I was standing in the stream and they didn't see me and the babies walked right onto the log that I was up against. And then they suddenly were made aware of my presence and skedaddled off so quick. But yeah, you can really observe a lot of wildlife here by just kind of sitting in silence.
Yeah, we like to do that activity with field trip groups as well, call it a sit spot. And it is pretty surprising what you can notice if you just take some time to sit and wonder. And
yeah, so like I'm already asking questions in my head. I'm asking them out loud, I guess, about the different leaf species that are here, because we see some that are different sizes. I can see the seeds from some of these. The willow leaves are a different shape. Some of the leaves have fallen and they're not even brown, they're just green. So lots of questions you can ask. You won't always find an answer to your questions right away, but even just wondering about something for a little bit helps build connections in your brain a bit.
yeah, and just, I think, watching the sunshine filter through the waters, it's kind of pretty.
Yeah, be curious. Yeah, great place to see some like painting. You can sit with your watercolors and look out over the creek. Quite magical. There's another girlfriend, another juvenile.
Hey, girlfriend. Cool. Okay, bye, girlfriend. Too close, too close. Yeah, all this, you might think like, oh no, all these logs and trees are in the way. How can the salmon do it? But it actually helps provide some structure for them to take a rest next to. And
yeah, resting spots and hiding spots are important because you got to remember a lot of animals know the salmon are coming up, and so we'll wait here for a chance to grab some fresh fish. So things like eagles, bears.
I guess it kind of works both ways. And again, more erosion
Oh yeah, look at
on
that.
that bank.
Chunk of banks come down. Anywhere
Part
you
of
have
the
water in the
process.
earth, there's going to be erosion.
Yeah. All right. Anything before we wrap up today's look?
Show off, but I think we're still a little early for that.
Yeah. We had the one gnarly one. So, yeah, for those of you just joining, thank you. And this will be posted as soon as we end the video here, except Rachel found something cool, so we're not going anywhere yet. Ooh,
So these
what are vertebrae?
vertebrae are the backbone of the fish. So these would be the ribs, right? So it's either like this or like this. Human vertebrae, we have a bunch of little knobs on the top, so you can orient which side is the dorsal side and which side is the ventral side. But our salmon don't have that, so just looking at them. Quite often these little ribs will break off and you'll be left with just kind of those little discs. They almost look like beads.
If you're a fan of eating fish,
You're probably pretty well aware of
might
this.
be.
So here's my tip: if you're gonna go, eat some salmon. You've got the whole salmon in front of you. Go for the tail piece because it's made out of the same flesh as the rest. It's the same muscle and everything. There's no ribs in the tail. So you don't have to avoid these little guys.
I also like the tail piece because the surface, I like whatever glazes people, like my dad makes a delicious piece of salmon and the tail has the most glaze, so my tail to meat ratio, or glaze to meat ratio is, that's the best. How do you all like your salmon?
Ooh, that's a good question. We could go down a big,
Yeah.
big
And like
on
we could do a salmon like painting, salmon cooking, like I don't know, lots
so
of
many salmon activities. I wore my fishy earrings today for luck.
well, perfect.
I'm noticing something cool. No, look at this.
Okay.
No. Look.
Nope. Sorry.
The bushes are coated in
Poop.
poop.
This one especially.
It's so high up, I would guess that an eagle perches there. It just repeatedly poops all over those branches. Can't
Interesting.
confirm until I
Can't
see
confirm.
the bird, but
If you had some better smell, maybe you could let us know. Oh yeah, that's a good observation. We'll maybe have to keep when we come back next Friday. We'll have to take a look and see who's sitting up high in the tree.
yeah, that's a good thing to look at is the canopy cover, and we can compare this week to next
Oh
week.
yeah, and
'Cause
it's so
our
pretty.
trees are relatively still in leaf. These big leaf maples usually kind of turn around mid-October, but there's still some of them that are quite green, which is just an interesting observation. I don't know what's causing that or what, but
Yeah,
good
it
to know.
sure is pretty. All right. Well, with that, I'm gonna wrap us up. Thank you for tuning in, and of course, if you enjoyed today's Peek in the Creek, feel free to share this with your friends, like, comment, all that good stuff. That's a fun, free way that you can help support Harbor Wild Watch. And of course, if you'd like to make a financial contribution, you can make a secure donation on our website as well. So,
Thanks
anything
for
else,
tuning
Rachel?
in. I think I'm hopeful we get such great weather for next week,
Yeah.
and hopefully we'll get some more fish to show
Absolutely.
you. So stay tuned next Friday, and we'll bring you something great.
Perfect. And November, we're also doing all sorts of salmon program because since we can't do Chum Festival
Fest
this year,
month.
we're making all of November Chum Fest month. So we will be having lots and lots of salmon content.
You're gonna be really
for
sick
your
of salmon content by the end of November.
yeah. Oh, you're a love
But not
idiot.
us, 'cause we love salmon.
Yay. All right. Bye, friends.